Well, I want to welcome everyone to today's EntreprenHer show, and I am so excited to interview my next guest. I've been following this woman online for literally years, and we've crossed paths a few times, and I'm just thrilled that today I actually get to see her in person via the internet, of course, as well as share her information and her expertise with the rest of you. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Heidi Richards Mooney, and I'm your host today. So let me tell you a little bit about our guest. Her name is Gina Gaudio Graves, and she is known as the JV Queen. Gina is the founder and CEO of the Abundance Group, the parent company of Directions University. She is the dean and founder of Directions University. Online, most people know her as, I mentioned before, the JV Queen, a title she earned by organizing some of the most successful product launches on the internet for some of the internet's biggest names, such as Sean Casey, Willie Crawford, Russell Brunson, David Garfinkel, Henry Gold, Holly Cotter, and many others. And I know every one of those people, and I am just thrilled that you know them. I don't know them personally, though, and I'm excited. Gina's mission is to help every person on this planet live the life of their dreams. She plans to accomplish this by helping entrepreneurs touch the lives of their customers in a deep, meaningful way. And if you get a chance, please go to EntreprenHers.com and read her story. It is extremely compelling. Today, we're going to talk about joint ventures beyond the ROI. So, Gina, tell us what the term JV means and how you got interested in it in the first place.
Well, JV is short for joint ventures. And basically, joint venture simply means the coming together of two or more businesses to accomplish a mutual goal or purpose. So joint ventures are one of the most leveraged ways of doing business. They're easy to do when you understand them and how they work. And what got me interested in joint ventures was years ago, back in 1996, I had been in a car accident. It left me in a hospital bed and wheelchair for nearly 10 years. And during that time, I needed about $40,000 a month just to pay for my medication.
Wow.
Well, in order to generate that kind of money, you need a lot of something, right? And I didn't really have any products of my own. I didn't really have any knowledge at the time that I could use to create products of my own. And a little ebook came out talking about joint ventures, and the term JV broker was in it. Well, that seemed interesting. I was a lawyer back before I got into this accident. I knew what a joint venture was. And the idea of being a JV broker, which is basically just being a connector, someone who takes the product or service owner and connects them to the people that have the customers, that seemed pretty easy. And JV brokering would allow me to earn about 10 to 20% on my client sales. So to get $40,000 a month, I just had to sell $400,000 a month of their product. So I thought, well, how hard can it be? Well, it actually took a couple years to figure it out. What I realized very quickly was just having a stellar product or service does not guarantee that it's going to actually sell. You need a little more than just a world-class product or service in order to really get the sales to follow. So I spent about 2 years going out and studying businesses that were already successful. And I was looking for the pattern among them, looking for something I could apply in the JVs I was creating that could allow every one of them to be successful. Because when you've got to sell $400,000 worth a month, that's an awful lot of stuff that you got to sell. You don't have time for things that don't work. And once I found what today is what I teach, I call it the vortex model of doing business. It really did make so many of the JVs I did be a lot more successful as long as we applied it.
And not only successful for you, but obviously for your clients, right?
Absolutely.
So give us some examples of joint ventures, and then we'll go into more the particulars of how to set them up, etc.
So my favorite kind of joint venture is a term called integration marketing. In my opinion, it's one of the least often used types of joint ventures, and yet one of the ones that could be most profitable long term. Integration marketing is a term that was coined by legendary marketer Mark Joyner many, many years ago. Back in the late 90s, Mark had a product called ROIBot, ROIBOT.com. Doesn't exist anymore. It was an early predecessor for something like Bitly. But back then, having a link cloaker tracker system, you had to pay for it. It wasn't free like Bitly is today. So back then, Mark had this one product. He sold it for like 10 or 20 bucks a month. But he knew that he wanted to make more money per customer, and he didn't have anything else to sell. So he came up with the idea of integration marketing. What he did was he went out and found people that had synergistic products or services that he could insert into his funnel, so that after people would buy ROIBot, they would then be taken to see other things that they could have an opportunity to purchase. He might have an ebook in the funnel. He might have another continuity program in the funnel. And little by little, it really drastically affected his bottom line, even though he was just selling it as an affiliate. They weren't even his own products. Over the use of integration marketing, he ended up improving his bottom line almost 6 times. Fast forward a number of years later, and in 2008, he actually wrote a book by the same title, Integration Marketing. And it's all about how to use that style of marketing in your business. It's my favorite kind of JV, whether it's for myself or my clients.
Excellent. What a great example, too, especially the fact that you can use other people's products and make a little bit of money or a lot of money, depending on how you set it up. So, okay, so that's one type. Give us maybe one more example of a JV, more that maybe people would recognize type that they would, yeah.
Product launches.
Yes.
Everywhere you go, product launches. The key to product launches, joint ventures, especially if you're launching on the internet. JV product launches are all the rage. And when you hear about these $1 million product launches, you can almost bet they were done through joint ventures. To drive that level of sales with paid advertising, you'd need almost as much money as you made.
Right.
So yeah, another good example.
Henry Gold is one of the leaders in that. I see him everywhere online, and I've even bought a few of his things. He's a smart businessman, and he has some great products. Every one of them does. I mean, Russell Brunson, who, he's become a superstar almost overnight, even though it's taken him probably 10, 12 years. And I remember seeing him in Orlando probably when he first started. What a great down to earth person. So these people are all just like the rest of us. They just figured out something that we need to work on. I think some of us need to work on more than others.
And I launched one of Russell's first things. He had a paid forum years ago. It was like his second or third product, and I did that launch. Henry Gold perfected the JV giveaway, where you get hundreds of JV partners together to give gifts. Well, his first really successful JV giveaway was 117 Christmas gifts that was done in Christmas of 2006. It was the first one he did big. Well, I was the broker on that. And boy, he made over $100,000 profit on a JV giveaway.
Wow. And how do people find you? They just hire you, or do you reach out to them and say, hey, I'd love to help you create this, your partnership? How does that work with you in terms of what you're doing for them?
I don't do a lot of brokering anymore. I retired from brokering in 2007 when I opened Directions University. I started getting back into brokering, maybe 8 or 9 months ago, because I keep finding that so few people understand integration marketing well enough to do it for themselves. So for that one type of joint venture, if you're looking for integration marketing and integration marketing deals, that I am open to brokering for. And you could go to joindu.com/guaranteed JVS to find out more info about that.
And you're welcome to go ahead and decide. You can post it under where it says send message if you want to post a link, and that way everybody will have that when they're watching the replay. That would be wonderful. Thank you, Gina. Or you can email it to me, and when I send out the link for everybody to see this show, we can share that. And any other links you might mention. It's always good to capture them in the actual blab. So what are some tips that you have for creating successful or strategic JV partnerships?
The key to JVs is to understand your JV partner. If you're going to someone to get them to promote your stuff, understand that they've already been making money. They don't need your help to make money. So going to them and saying, oh, I'm going to give you a commission when you sell my products, you're a distraction in their world. They don't need the money that's going to pay them. The key to landing the bigger, better JV partners is to look at what they're doing and find ways that you can help support them before getting them to support you. And that's why integration marketing is so helpful. For example, at Directions University, we have a program called Motivation to Profit. It sells for $497 a year or $47 a month. The way that most of our sales happen is through integration. So we'll go to our JV partners, and rather than saying, hey, would you promote Motivation to Profit for us? We instead say, we'd like to help you increase your sales by 20 to 22%. Would you be interested? Well, who wouldn't be interested in that, right? So the way that we help them do that is they get to give away either 1 month or 3 months of Motivation to Profit as a bonus when they're selling their own products. And we give them everything they need to actually put that bonus up on their sales page, on their thank you page, and even in their autoresponder sequences. Obviously, when someone signs up and continues beyond the trial, they do get an affiliate commission. But most of our JV partners would actually use the bonus, whether they got an affiliate commission or not, because what they really want is to increase their sales 20 to 22%.
Right.
How can you do that with your JVs?
Excellent example. And it increases the value of what they're offering because
it really does.
All of the extra, now here's a question for you, because, you look at all these product launches and especially book launches over the last few years where big names. Now, I've seen a lot less of it lately, probably because I'm going to answer my own question. The fact is that everybody was doing it for a while. Like every book launch I had, I was giving away 10 or 20 different gifts just for people to buy the book. And the book was $20, but the gifts were thousands of dollars in value that was established by the givers. And so, do you think that is a trend that has passed, or do you think it's something that's still happening? And if so, how are people now doing it to be successful? Because, again, I haven't seen a lot of it lately like I did for years.
It isn't working nearly as well as it used to. And that's why you don't see many people doing it today. Think about what happens. The people who get approached to put stuff in as bonuses on book launches, they're not just getting into one book launch, they're getting into dozens of book launches. And the reason that they're being asked to put their products in as gifts is they're also expected to promote that book launch. It's a way of paying them back by letting them build a list from giving away their gifts. But it becomes very incestuous. It's just the same with JV giveaways. It's why you don't see them happening nearly as often today. If you've got 10 people who each have 1,000 people on their lists, 10,000 people together, and they're all getting together over and over and over again, you're not getting 10,000 new people in the pool every time you do it. You only have 10,000 people in the pool to start with. And before you know it, each person has 10,000 people on their list, but now those 10,000 people have to listen to 10 marketers' messages, not just the one that they started with. So over time, it becomes less effective because it doesn't increase the size of the pool. Instead, you've got to get a little bit more creative, think a little bit more outside the box, and maybe go out and get new JV partners over and over and over again so that you can continue to increase the size of the group that you're marketing to.
You know,
Just to think long term.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I've done a few of them, but I usually will not do any back to back. If I do one, I do one, and then I won't do the same product for 6 months or more, because I know that's what happens. And I know because I get a lot of that stuff. And you see the same, I mean, they're great products, but how many times can you download the same ebook? Or how many times do you want to be on that person's list and you end up unsubscribing 10 times just so you only want to get one email, not 10, or whatever it happens to be. And sometimes I forget because I have so many emails. Which email did I sign up for, So then I'm getting it on every inbox. So I think that you're right. There's a lot of benefit if you do it smart. And one of the ways, like you said, don't do it so don't use the same 10 people all the time, or 20 or 5 or whatever it happens to be. So is it really important that the list be large, or is it more important that it just be a fresh list every time? Because I think that I'm probably going to answer that question too, but go ahead.
Just that it's a fresh list every time. I really don't go for size of list ever. Okay. I can give you so many examples of people who have really small lists, less than 5,000, who do well into the 7 figures every year. It doesn't take a big list to do well. It takes really understanding, having a back end that becomes a part of everything that you do, and really getting more leverage so that you have a higher lifetime value per customer. That's the key. It's not having a big list.
I would agree.
Heidi, quick funny story. Do you know how you ended up on my list?
No, I don't remember.
I actually went and researched this about a year ago when you got me into the who's who of women in e-commerce last year. I was dying to figure out, how did she end up on my list? The second JV giveaway that Henry Gold did, he did with me. We partnered on it. It was called 117 Self-Improvement Gifts. It was in July of 2007. And that's how you ended up subscribing to my list.
Wow. And I remember that list too. It was like the Christmas one. I was hooked on everything he was doing. Now, think about this. You get 117 gifts, but I will tell you that I only downloaded the ones that were of interest to me. And most of the time there was maybe 10 or 15. But it was just interesting I guess as a marketer, I tend to look at everything from a different viewpoint, not necessarily what am I going to use it for, but what am I going to learn from it? How they're
absolutely.
I would do their, just sign up to see what their landing pages were like. And I think that's good advice for anybody. Sometimes it's not really about the product, although the product's important and you want to support the people who are going so far as to do this. It's also important to kind of learn from the experience, especially if you want to do something similar. Let's talk about products for a second. What type of products or promotions work best with JV partnerships?
Any type of product or service. Doesn't really matter. With joint ventures, you really want to think about them a little differently than what you hear most marketers talking about. There is tons of stuff out there about product launch JVs, tons of stuff about email swaps, which is another form of JVs. I like to do this. I sit down and I make a list of every asset that the business needs. Doesn't matter what it needs, whether that's it needs traffic, it needs customers, it might even need stuff to sell. Whatever asset your business needs, you can get it through joint ventures. You just have to think a little bit more outside the box. Let's say you just wrote a brand new ebook and it's the only thing you've got to sell. Well, if all you've got is one thing to sell, you are leaving loads of money on the table. Trust me, your customers are buying other stuff. They're just not buying it from you. So go and find a JV partner that has a more expensive product that you can make your back end and immediately have a funnel set up. Find a way to get everything your business needs through joint ventures. It will really make your bottom line soar.
So give us some examples of different types of products that you think work well. Because I know you said everything. They do everything, but product
Yeah,
service.
literally. Um, One of my good friends, Rick Thompson. Rick Thompson has a done-for-you service. He has a team of VAs that work specifically with any kind of coach. Doesn't matter what kind of coach you might be. He has a team that can help you with all of running your business, everything from the marketing to the internal operations and whatnot. So with Rick, 100% of his customers comes through integration marketing. He has a group of about 300 people who train coaches, and each one of them sell their services, their coaching services, as a bundle with 1 month of Rick's service. So if you're going to one of these coaches who train coaches, you're going to get a VA and coaching all in the same package. If you want to continue beyond that first month, then you simply pay for it. So there's one example in a done-for-you service that's sold through joint ventures. Ebooks, software, membership sites, even physical products. I have a client that sells liquid vitamins. It's called Passion for Life Vitamins at passionforlifevitamins.com. 20% of their gross sales, not profit, gross sales, are donated to their foundation called passionforkids.org. They sell most of their vitamins through joint ventures. Sometimes that's they get onto a webinar with someone's list and they sell it through that. Sometimes it's integration marketing. Sometimes it's they're an upsell on the back end of somebody else's funnel. But every one of their vitamins are sold through joint ventures. Does that help?
So so you would say a webinar is like a joint venture as well. So how would that work?
A webinar can be a joint venture, doesn't have to be a joint venture. So with the webinar, you're going to go in and look for someone that has the right audience, who's willing to have you in as a guest trainer. And you're going to go into their audience, you're going to go do a presentation, do some training, and at the end make an offer. Whoever is hosting that webinar for you, you're going to pay a commission on any sales that happen at the end. The better JV partners for webinars, they're not just going to have you in and do a live webinar. They're going to do a live and maybe run a replay. Sometimes they do a couple of live and then some replays. Just depends upon the JV partner.
Excellent. Great examples. So I'm not sure all JV partnerships are created equal. What are some warning signs for a challenging or less than successful JV partnership?
So first and foremost, understand that the key in most joint ventures is that whoever is bringing the customers to the table, that they're the right customers. You know, too often people think their stuff works for everybody.
Right.
I can promise you, your stuff does not sell well to everybody. There will be one ideal audience and only one ideal audience at a time. Even if you've got a product that works for 10 audiences, you want 10 separate sales pages or you're not going to get the same level of sales. So make sure that the JV that you're setting up has the right customers. Don't even try to go after the super big guy in your niche. It's not going to work unless you've got something to offer them, maybe through integration marketing. You're not likely to get their all. You want to be looking for the greatest number of customers, not necessarily the guy who's going to give you a little bit of something. So find the people that are really synergistic with you, those that complement yours, don't compete with what you've got, and find ways of working together over and over again.
So how do you find these people?
You know, I have this secret little site.
Okay.
It's called Google.
Google.
I Google it.
That's secret. That's true though.
Now, I am going to give your listeners a quick link. If you go to joindu.com / oops, one too many W's, joindu.com / find JVS. Find JVS. It's a little search string that I use followed by a keyword. So if I was in the weight loss arena, I would use this search string followed by weight loss or lose weight, some sort of a keyword that gets the topic into it that's going to help you find the real people, not just the websites that you're never going to be able to reach a real person through. And that's the key. You need to deal with real people.
Absolutely. Well, so what type of client do you work with, Gina? And how do you market to them, or how do they find out about you?
The clients that we work with are speakers, authors, coaches. A lot of them are what I describe as offline service-oriented professionals. They're people who were chiropractors, veterinarians, massage therapists, even real estate professionals. They're in a service-oriented business. They don't love the lifestyle that they have, and they really want a better lifestyle. So how they find us typically is by going to our website. We're releasing a new book this week, and I promised Heidi that I would tell you guys about it. It's called The Leverage Black Book, and it's everything I teach about how to get more leverage. Joint ventures, it's all about leverage. That's really it. Think about what is leverage. Leverage means getting the biggest possible results with the least amount of effort in the shortest amount of time. That's all it is. So you can go to joindu.com/Heidi, LBB. Heidi, HEIDI, L like Larry, B like boy, B like boy, to get the Leverage Black Book.
So I'll type that in there, or you'll go ahead and do that.
I'm going to go do it right now.
So let's talk about some of the tools that you use, or your clients use, to create ideal JV partnerships.
So one of the tools you'll actually get in the Leverage Black Book. The key to joint ventures, especially for like a product launch, is to really know your metrics. How many sales do you need to reach your financial goals with whatever it is you're doing? When you know how many sales you need, you should be able to predict how much traffic are you going to need to generate that level of sales. You don't need to go out and get hundreds of JV partners to promote your stuff. Excuse me. You need enough JV partners to drive the number of visitors so that you get the right number of sales. So I have a little Excel spreadsheet that you'll find in the Leverage Black Book that's called my traffic sources resource. And it literally plugs your numbers in. First, you put in how much is the price point of your product, what is your number in terms of goal, in financial goal. It's going to come back and tell you how many sales you need. It'll ask you what kind of conversions are you getting on your sales page. You plug in that number, and it'll tell you how many visitors you need. And then you can actually figure out how much of that traffic are you going to drive on your own, how much of that traffic are you going to plan out through joint ventures. And it'll actually help you plan out a little bit of what you're going to do with the traffic you drive yourself. So that's one of my favorite tools.
Excellent, excellent. You talk about clients you've worked with and that often leave millions of dollars on the table. What do you mean by that?
So often I find people who have a product to sell. Sometimes they may even have two products to sell, a front end and an upsell, or a front end and a downsell. But my goodness, guys, the money is made on the back end. The back end doesn't necessarily mean in this funnel. I literally mean on the back end. So an example I gave earlier with integration marketing was Directions University's program called Motivation to Profit. When you buy Motivation to Profit, it will expose you to 6 different master classes that we sell. A lot of people think that we make our money on the $497 a year or the $47 a month from Motivation to Profit. Others think, well, no, they also make money on those $247 master classes. In actuality, what we make on those 7 things is less than 30% of what we actually make at DU. Our money is made literally on the back end. The only reason we sell anything is because everything comes with a complimentary strategy session. The strategy session is designed to see if it's a good fit for you to come into our high-end coaching program called the Bachelor's Program that sells for $10,000. That's really where the money is made. So ask yourself in your business, what is your back end? You'll learn more about it in Leverage Black Book. We talk a lot about that because this is leverage, guys and gals. If you can figure out what everything you've got is going to lead into and make it something that's at least $1,000 per customer per year, boy, oh boy, will it affect your bottom line in a big way.
Absolutely. So what's been the most surprising part of the work that you do, Gina?
Most surprising part. When I start talking about joint ventures to people who have not done joint ventures before, their eyes glaze over. It's like the deer in the headlights syndrome. I feel like I'm sitting there with a pile of gold bars in my lap, and they're going like this and like that. They're not even trying to steal it out of my lap. That surprises me every time.
Wow. Wow. So there's a lot of people who still don't understand the whole concept okay.
I think they don't understand it and they're afraid. They're new or their business is still small and they think they have nothing to offer a JV partner. Trust me, everyone, even if your business just opened its doors today, all of us have something to offer the right JV partner. It's just a matter of looking at the win-win-win scenario. There's always 3 wins. The first win is not the win for your JV partner. The first win is the win for the customer. The second is the win for the JV partner, and the third is the win for you. How can you use the win for the customer, make it so big by you working together with this person that they can't say no to it? Because then the other 2 wins aren't really as important.
And they take care of themselves. Sure.
They do.
Well, we all have an expertise. So if you have any expertise, like you said, you could, I've seen people do like simple audio programs, like a 30-minute meditation. I've seen a lot of that. I've seen a lot of, 20 or 30-minute strategy sessions, different things. I mean, you're right. It's all over the board. So let's talk about some of the successes that you've had, both for yourself and for your client. Can you give us maybe one example for each one you've done that has been extremely successful, and then maybe an example of a client that you haven't shared already?
One of the biggest product launches that I ended up doing was for a product called Go Try This. It's now called Trackerly. It just relaunched recently on its 9th birthday. It was also a link cloaker, but oh my gosh, so powerful, way better than anything else I've ever seen. It's something that all my Ask GGG links and my Join DU links, they all use that system. When it first came out, it was one of the first that really had powerful statistics in it. It had a couple of really unique features that don't exist in any other link cloaker, tracker, or redirect system. But the product creator didn't want to just give this away. He wanted to sell it, and he wanted to sell it for big bucks. For something that most people by then were expecting to get for free, I thought he was crazy when he said he wanted it sold for between $197 and $397 per unit. I'm like, how in the heck are we going to do this? So we had to put a really strategic plan together. And what we did was we built it all around a theme. We took the product apart and we took 2 little features out and used it to create a different version of the product. That allowed us to have a black hat version and a white hat version. In the copy, in the marketing materials, in the graphics, the black hat version had a devilish feel and devilish language. And even the product creator's picture had little devil horns. In the white hat version, it was very ethereal, angelic almost, with clouds and a little halo over his picture. And we carried that language through the sales letter, the emails that people were using, the banner images, And we turned this into a party. People really wanted to be a part of this because it was just so much fun. We then brought scarcity and urgency in by having the first 500 units sold at $197, the next 500 units at $297, and the third 500 units at $397. As the price went up, bonuses disappeared. Started out with 10 bonuses. By the time it got to $397, there were only 3 bonuses. In 6 days, 17 hours, and 52 minutes, we sold out of all 1,500 units of the Black Hat. And it was only once that was gone that the White Hat became available. So that's a really great example. We had a blast with that.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun. So scarcity and urgency were 2 key elements I heard you say. So Trackerly, when you say $197, you mean $197.
I absolutely did. And $397.
So everybody knows, do the math. Okay. So where do you get your creative ideas, Gina? In other words, what process do you use to come up with the ideas for not only yourself and your own business, for those of your clients? Is there a process?
There is. The key is to really look for the outcome in everything, even something small. Let's say you're writing a blog post. What's the outcome that you want from this blog post? It's not just, I want people to see it. There's a reason you're writing a blog post. The more detailed you can be about the outcome you want, the easier it will be to take that outcome and work backwards to figure out how to go from where you're at to where you want to be. When you know the outcome of a blog post you're writing, it's going to change how you write that blog post. It may even change what you do once it's posted. But know your outcome. It's the key to everything.
Absolutely. So, for instance, a blog post, you give that as a good example. What would be some of the strategies you'd want to implement in a blog post to maximize its effectiveness?
It just depends on my outcome, right? Okay. Sometimes it's about selling something. Okay. Sometimes it's because I want SEO juice. Sometimes it's really because I need a piece of content I can then leverage out on social. What's the outcome you want?
Excellent. Great examples. So what books besides your own are you currently reading or would you recommend?
Oh my goodness, so many of them. So there is a book about copywriting called Great Leads, Leads. Great Leads is really about the introduction in your copy, the pre-head, the head, the subhead. But oh my goodness, it is about so much more than what it claims to be about. Through Great Leads, you're going to learn about the levels of awareness. There are 5 levels of awareness, and where your audience is at will totally change what you do in your marketing big time. Can't recommend that book highly enough.
Excellent.
And then my other favorite book is by Ryan Levesque. It's called Ask.
I love that.
And it's all about asking. Oh my gosh, brilliant book. How can you integrate asking into your marketing in a way that can massively increase your conversions? Great book.
Excellent. 2 excellent examples. So in addition to your own websites, what sites can you currently not live without? And that, forget Google too, because everybody says Google. I can't
currently not live without. So Trackerly is one of them. I really cannot live without Trackerly. I use it for everything. I've got over 4,000 links.
That TRACKRLY or ERLY?
ER.ly.
Okay, .ly.
Tracker.ly. Cannot live without it. What else do I have open all the time? I'm just looking. Basecamp. How could I forget Basecamp? I would get nothing done without Basecamp. Basecamp is a project management system. It's meant for people that do a lot with clients and or teams. In my case, all my teams are joint ventures, but it makes it really easy for me to bring JV partners into the projects that we're working on together in a way that really keeps us all on track.
So
love it.
So Are you familiar with Gaudio?
I am.
How is Basecamp different? Because we're currently using Gaudio, and I was looking at Basecamp and trying to decide if I wanted to use it. I'm sure there's a lot of differences. I just don't know them.
There are. I think Basecamp, especially the newest version, Basecamp 3, I think it makes it easier for businesses like ours because of the fact that we can bring people in to just a single project or just a portion of a project. You know, I've got outsourcers that only work on one portion of one project, not even a whole project. And for me to be able to bring them into just the tasks that they need access to, man, what a godsend.
Right. Excellent, excellent. So what's next for Gina?
The Leverage Black Book.
Excellent.
So we're launching theleveragist.com this week. You can go to joindu.com/Heidi, L like Larry, B like boy, B like boy, and get your copy of the Leverage Black Book completely free. And that's really what we're focused on for at least the next 90 days.
I love it. How can our audience get in touch with you? What's the best way to connect with you, Gina?
Probably best way for me is to come and join us on our Facebook group. It's called Motivation to Profit. You can get there at joindu.com/M like Mary, T like Tom, P like Paul, FB for Facebook, MTPFB. Come join us and feel free to ask me questions. I answer. I'm in there every day.
You are, and you're very, you know what I love, and this is what is so wonderful about you as a professional. You are exactly what you see is what you get. You're very transparent. You are open. You love to share. And so I was really excited. Thank you very much for being on this show today. Is there any last words you'd like to share before we close and I tell them about the next show?
My very favorite quote is, "Winners take imperfect action while losers are still perfecting the plan." Be a winner. I don't care how imperfect the action is. Take the action. I promise you it will get you further ahead.
Excellent. Great quote. Thank you so much. We've been talking to Gina Graves from Directions University. Our next show is tomorrow at 3 o'clock, where we'll be speaking with Joanna Brandy about return on happiness. So be sure and stay tuned to the Entrepreneur Show tomorrow. And thank you again, Gina. It's been a pleasure having you today. And again, be sure and check out Women in E-Commerce. We've been helping women do business on the web since 2001. Bye, Gina. Take care and have a great day.
Bye, Heidi. Thank you.
And bye, everyone, for watching.